Hi viewers, welcome to Sports Diary. In our Sports Diary program, we have been interviewing various international sports personalities like players, coaches and officials. This week also we are going to meet one of the legend, I can say, from cricket. So he has played for India during 87, 88 until 90, and he has started his career during 86 and he's wind up his playing career in 94, 95. Apart from playing, he has other phases also, like into coaching, mentoring and also giving commentary work. Also, he owns a TNPL team. He is none other than VB Chandrasekhar. Let's meet him. Hello, sir.
Hi. Should I put my bat up?
All right. Hello, sir. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much for inviting me over.
Very pleasure meeting you. We will start right from your playing career itself. During 86, you started your first class career for Tamil Nadu. So tell us about that journey, how it was started.
Well, not too many people would know that I was 26 years old when I first played my first class match. It was against Hyderabad at the Secunderabad Gymkhana. And I went on to make about close to 90 runs. And after that, when I came back, somebody at the TNCA told me, good, you didn't get 100. I was quite upset with that fact that, you know, somebody going and playing his first match, and I was 26, not a spring chicken for sure. And why I got delayed was because I did my engineering prior to that. My father said, no, you are going to do an MS. I told him, let me finish my engineering and then we'll think about it. And now what? I said, give me 1 year, I will get to play first class cricket for Tamil Nadu. Then I said, 1 more year you give me, I'll play for India. I did both. I didn't play for very long for India, but then I did play a long time for Tamil Nadu, and I was part of the winning Ranji Trophy team, which made me very proud, and also winning the Irani Cup that year.
And after your engineering, how you got into the cricket very immediately by the permission of parents and other support and all?
I never stopped playing cricket, and the thing is, somebody starts a journey at an age of, say, about 11, 12. Today, kids come to me at about 5.5, 6. And when they come to you at that stage, they have a lot of dreams. But some of them don't pursue those dreams. But I went on to pursue, and much, much after I turned 20 plus, which doesn't happen too often today. Today, it's a game where after Tendulkar made his debut for the country at the age of 15, almost every parent thinks that that's a possibility. There's only one Tendulkar that comes along. And I think that's not something that happened to me in my life. But having come in late to the game, still I managed to play long enough. I think from that perspective, it's been a wonderful journey.
During the year of 1986, you made a debut in first class, and then 87, 88, probably a dream run in first class, and you got an entry into Indian team. So tell us about that 87, 88 season.
87, 88, well, there were some greats playing the game, and I got to see Gundappa Vishwanath, Brajesh Patel, Raghuram Bhatt, plenty of them around. And at that time, I used to be with Robin Singh as a roommate. Robin Singh had just landed up from West Indies, and perhaps I was the only one who understood what he was saying most of the time. He didn't speak much, but then we spent a lot of time together. And there was this moment after that first year, 87, 88, and I had a wonderful start to my season. And then Tamil Nadu went on to win the Ranji Trophy in 87, 88. At that point in time, we were called for a net session at Fateh Maidan in Hyderabad. And India was playing New Zealand, and I remember India beating New Zealand convincingly. And then we got to play in the center pitch. From a distance, I saw the great Emal Jayasinghe. And then he came down and he had a few words with me. And that's the first time I met a test cricketer that close. I never had an opportunity to meet anyone else. Much later, of course, my legend of all times has been, my icon has been Sunil Gavaskar. I got to do commentary with him later on, which is another thing that, you know, comes to mind, that cricket gives you a lot of things and doesn't take too much away from you.
Okay. During 1988, I made a debut guess against New Zealand. And also ended up against New Zealand. So how was the journey playing for India in ODI side?
When I got selected for India, at that time the news came to me, as I mentioned, was at the Fateh Maidan, and so this reporter who was working earlier with the Indian Express, I don't know what he's doing now, but he came over and said, "You're picked, and Robin Singh, you're not there." Robin Singh wasn't around because he still had a West Indian passport, and he was quite let down, but he was happy for me being selected. And I went on to play the first one-day international, and that was at Vizag. And it all happened much after, say, 6 months' time, a period where most people lose their cricketing form. I had made 156 balls in the Irani Cup, which turned out to be a record. And it was a long-standing record, Dinesh, for like 28, 29 years. That's a really long time for a record to stand. It was the fastest 100. And the newspaper said, here comes another Viv Richards kind of stuff, because Viv Richards had made 100 in Test cricket in 56 balls. And that, again, was one of those fastest 100s made. And to me, I made that 100 in the second innings after getting a big duck in the first innings. And the selectors picked the team on the second day evening, and the rest of India were beating Tamil Nadu so badly in that game that they said, okay, there's nothing more to come, and they walked away. There's just one gentleman who stayed back, and that was Mr. Naran Tamani, and the former Indian wicketkeeper batsman. He stayed back, and he saw my innings, and he probably told the other selectors that we made a big mistake, a big error, that, you know, we didn't stay back to see the completion of a match. Because that 100, we were chasing 340 runs on a dust bowl. You know what tracks can be like at Chepauk after 3 days of cricket. And when I got that 100 against people like Narendra Hirwani and Sanjeev Sharma, Gopal Sharma, I had about 8 sixes and 11 boundaries in that 56 ball 100. And Tamil Nadu went on to win the game quite convincingly by about 4 wickets, which made it all the more interesting for me because as an innings. But the team for Sharjah had already been taken. And I got my next chance to play for India after 6 months when the New Zealand team came under John Wright. And I just went there thinking that I could hit every ball for a 6. And that was my mindset, which I think any cricketer listening to this should perhaps think, okay, build your innings, take 5 overs, build your innings, and then whatever you hit will hit the middle of the bat. I think that's something which I didn't do, and 2 matches I failed. Third game when I came to Indore, it was a very poor track. And I remember one ball from Kapil Dev going and lodging itself on the grill of John Wright. And I said, what am I going to do on this surface? I went on to make the first half century, the only half century I made in about 7 ODIs that I played for India. But that was a very good innings. But when I walked into the dressing room, Dilip Vengsarkar told me, I think you made a big blunder here. You should have carried on and scored 100. You will remember this for life. Yes, I do remember this for life, Colonel. Certainly do remember that.
Sir, you have batted along with Mr. Srikanth. So tell us about him on the field and off the field with you.
I think it was the same both ways. He was a lot of fun on the field and off the field. And on the field, batting with him was something that any young cricketer would be inspired. Because the kind of shots, when I first made my Duleep Trophy debut, and it was at Faridabad, and Raju Kulkarni was the fastest bowler at that time, and the first 5 balls that he bowled to him disappeared all over. There were 5 boundaries scored, and I was wondering how is this possible, and then I went on to bat with him and we made a reasonably good partnership. And what happens with Srikanth is when the ball is in the air and he's watching the bowler and he's telling me from the other side, come on, hit it. That's how it was, because he had so much time even when he was batting to strike a cricket ball, and he had a lot more time when he was standing doing nothing, precious little he was doing as a non-striker. But he would tell you, ball is in flight, and he's telling you, come on, hit that one.
After your playing days, you made into another instinct called commentary. How that was spiked into you and made entry to this commentary work in TV channels?
See, as a young fellow, what you do is you play the game of cricket, and then you're also describing how you're playing. You think that there are commentators talking about you. I'm sure every young kid does that, and every great superstar would have done that, because for a fact that they would like to know how they played, and then that description happens. So-and-so's bowling, the ball's pitching on off stump and then leaving you and stuff would have always been part of your playing games.
Talking about MS Dhoni, I want to ask you one question. Like during the year of 2008, IPL started, and CSK, you were the part of cricket operations, as well as you selected some of the key players, and you were very instrumental in selecting Dhoni. Please tell us about the history to our viewers.
Well, the IPL was a very, very new concept, and you had to pick one player. And unfortunately, the Chennai team did not have an icon player. Mumbai had a Tendulkar, and then Karnataka, the Bangalore team had Rahul Dravid, and Lakshman was part of Hyderabad. But then, unfortunately, we didn't have an icon, and looking out for an icon was a tough call. So we decided somebody like who would go on to be a youth icon later. And there was a discussion with Mr. N. Srinivasan, who's the managing director of India Cements, and he said, I want you to go and pick the team. I said, the first guy I would pick is MS Dhoni. He asked me why. I said, he's going to be the future youth icon for us. And he said, why not Sehwag? I said, Sehwag is a great player, but then I think this man would give you a lot. Captain as well as wicketkeeper and an extraordinarily handsome striker of a ball. I think all those things made him go at about 1.5 million. 5 million was the entire purse that you had to pick a team with. And you ended up paying 1.5 million for him. But there was a lot of fight going on with Mumbai Indians, Delhi Daredevils, all of them wanting a piece of this extraordinary cricketer, as we know he turned out to be. But putting up a CSK team was a definite challenge. But then when I see that now, today, the composition that I picked then was so good in all ways that today CSK continues to be one of the best teams, and it's a great entertainment. And I think being part of that will certainly be a highlight.
Next year, 2019, 50 over World Cup is going to come. 1983, Kapil Dev won the World Cup. 2007, 20 over World Cup by MS Dhoni, and 2011, 50 over by MS Dhoni. How do you compare Kapil Dev, Sourav Ganguly, MS Dhoni, and now Virat Kohli?
Well, they're all very different personalities altogether. I mean, I don't think too many people know who Mahendra Singh Dhoni is. You might have seen a movie of his, you might have read a lot of books about him, you might have even been in person talking to him, but I don't think anybody gets to know who he is because he is his own man. And Kapil Dev was all instinct, and he could do anything. He could bat, bowl, field, and captain a side, inspire a team, all that he could do, Kapil Dev. And when you talk about somebody like Virat Kohli, I think he is looking to be a mix of a lot of things. But I think in the end, it's about entertainment and how you entertain the public, and at the same time, bring in that competitive instinct into a team. I think Virat Kohli is able to do that by inspiring the lot, the way he bats, and he takes the fight to the opposition as a captain. I think from that point of view, he's more like Kapil Dev, because Kapil Dev would look to win a game, whereas Dhoni was a little defensive when it came to Test cricket. But Virat Kohli is looking to win a game all the time. And with his batting skills, he's batting at that kind of pace where it sets up a match in a manner where you're so positive, it puts the opposition under pressure. They make it so defensive for them. There were instances where teams would play 20 overs and the score is 40 and then get bowled out for 110. But with the Virat Kohli there, that's never going to happen. The score would rather be 120 in 25 overs. I think that's a mindset he carries.
And about our Dada Sourav Ganguly, under his captaincy also 2003 World Cup final we made.
Yeah, I missed that guy because I think I was talking so much about Kapil, Dhoni and Virat. But if there's any change that was brought about to Indian cricket, it was more to do with Sourav Ganguly and his style of captaining. He was called the prince for nothing because he certainly believed that he could make a big difference. From that point of view, I think he was much like what Manzoor Ali Khan Patadi was. There was a charisma that was attached to a Ganguly, which even today when you watch him on television, you feel, you're awestruck by the way he used to bat and the way he used to captain the team. And the best part of him was he identified young talents and also gave them the right kind of positions to bat. If he had not made a Virendra Sehwag open the innings, the world cricket would not have seen a genius.
Okay. And now in Indian cricket, you see a lot of young cricketers are growing up, and that has been groomed up by a coach called Mr. Rahul Dravid for India A and under 19, and recently also we won the World Cup. So how this is very healthy for the Indian senior team to have a players, and also we are seeing now the competitions are growing. So what is your take on that?
Well, today I think the younger generation has a very short attention span, and somebody like Dravid will make a big difference, because if he goes into bat, he could bat for 6 hours, and with the kind of intensity in concentration that was probably matched only by Mr. Gavaskar at that time. I don't remember anybody else doing that, but with Dravid, also the fact is he is somebody who's educated himself. He reads a lot, and it's just not cricket alone. I think he brings in a lot of other angles to a person's personality. So in a situation where someone is growing up to get into the international level, you need to be more complete as a personality. So you're talking about maturity levels, and when you're talking about maturity levels, there's none better than a Dravid doing that. I remember him at this very ground in Guru Nanak College when he came in first. He was about 21 years old. He said, I wanted to play cricket here under your captaincy, VB, so I want to learn something which is not available anywhere else. But he would come in and practice for 2.5 hours when all the others would say, okay, this is time to go home. Weekend, I'm going back to Bangalore, or someone's from Kerala, I'm saying going back to Kerala. But these guys, Dravid was very different from that angle. And it was all the time with the book, reading, and put in every bit of what he read into practice. And the phenomenal levels of concentration, and above all that, a wonderful human being. And I think that makes him very different for a young man, brushing shoulders with him, spending time for him to talk about mentoring. I think that's the word, because I think he's the wonderful mentor that Indian cricket was looking for the younger generation.
And we are seeing dismissals, say example in England, outside of stump is very dangerous for the top order batsman, and also in South Africa, in swinging ball, and Australia, bouncy tracks. So as a batsman, can you please advise the players or any instructions how to tackle these kind of things in different conditions?
I think first and foremost we get used to pushing our front foot forward, and I think when you start doing that on a bouncy pitch or a seaming track, it becomes difficult. You need to necessarily see the ball out of the bowler's hand, and if you're able to pick out the seam, all those details, when I said the way you practice is the way you're going to go and play in a match. So if you're able to pick all that from the hand, and then you're able to transfer your weight at the right time, much of this workout that you do inside the nets will hold you good for any condition. But the fact is, you've got to ascertain in the 2 or 3 balls that you play, or even if you're a middle order batsman sitting outside, how is the surface behaving, what is the ball doing off the surface. All those little details you need to collect, and once you walk in, you must make sure that you're performing only to that. There are certain tracks where you will only be able to play square of the wicket. There are certain tracks where you have to push yourself forward. If the ball is keeping low, you've got to push yourself forward. If it's bouncing, you know that there are runs scored square of the wicket. So you've got to train for both. I think from that angle, there's not much that anybody can teach, but you yourself doing your work.
So we will talk about your family also and your earlier childhood days. So tell us where you brought up and where you studied, and about your family.
Well, actually, my father was a very leading lawyer, and there was a time when he was appearing mostly, or 70-odd% of his clientele came from the cinema industry, and that gave us an opportunity to see some of these stars. There was a moment when Rishi Kapoor had come, and then quite a lot of these young Indian stars had come, the Tamil fraternity, for instance. So we would keep watching out who's coming out next, and the great Hindi actor Pran was his long-time clientele, and for me, being a lawyer was not a possibility. And I think I spent a lot more time thinking about cricket, and for me cricket was the first family. And even after getting married and having 2 daughters who are into Carnatic music, a lot of people ask me, do you have any sons? I said no. I have a lot of sons in my cricket academy, but not any of my own. Only 2 daughters that I have, and they are into Carnatic music, and they do reasonably well. Why aren't they in cricket? I said, well, it's just that I didn't have any time to think about cricket for them. So fortunately, they're doing something different. And I started from St. Bede's, and then went on to do BSc Mathematics at Vivekananda College. Not too many people would know that I never played university cricket even after being there for 4 years. Forget university cricket, I didn't play for the college. I was not even part of the college team. And then I went to do engineering in Coimbatore. That's where life turned, because staying in a hostel is a degree of difficulty to everything. So most of the time I would be listening to somebody else study and then go on to write my exams. So engineering was a tough call for me because I was not at all interested. I was more interested in playing cricket.
So started your career during 1986 and ended your career during 94-95. Very short duration to end up. Any specific reason for that?
I think it's because I made a late entry into first class cricket, and Indian cricket didn't have so much patience for people coming in late into the game. They always believe 21, 22, and then, you know, build them up till they're about 32, 33, and then tell them you're too old, it's time you leave. And that's basically that was the stuff. So somebody walking in, I don't think Michael Hussey happened then. He happened much later. Michael Hussey was 31 or 32 when he played for Australia and went on to, well, build so much that he had an average of 50 plus. Every third or fourth innings, he was making a major score. So age, to me, is something that people shouldn't worry about today. It's more about fitness and also the ability to convert that fitness into performance. I think all those things matter. For me, it was a short duration. I was there in the Indian team for all of 2 or 3 years, just a couple of tours, and that was it. And that will remain a disappointment. But I did play long for first class cricket. I actually wound up in 1998 with Goa. I played 3 years for Goa. Not too many people have such a long career in first class cricket. 13 years is long enough, and I really thoroughly enjoyed my journey.
You are in this cricket circuit for long. Any regrets that you have faced? Can you please tell us to your viewers?
One regret is I never got to play a test match, and I might have come that close, but it was just because people felt I was an aggressive player, more in a, today T20 people would have loved to see me, but they thought I was more the 50 over, the shorter format cricketer, and that will remain a regret. But yes, so what? How many people get to play for the country? I had the opportunity, and I think I must thank the stars, the God, for giving me that opportunity to be representing your own country and being in the Indian colours.
Sir, thank you very much for sharing your time and valuable insights. You have discussed about various insights on playing career and commentary experience, selector experience. So it's been a nice interview for us, and nice meeting you, sir.
Thank you very much for brushing my memory on most things. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So this episode will be very interesting to you because we have interviewed a legend called Mr. V.B. Chandrasekhar. So hope you see in other episode of Sports Diary. Thank you very much.